again and welcome. Today's project is a nice simple one for beginners. It doesn't require a lot of wood. It's a good little skill builder for shaping on the spindles. I've got a piece of 5.5 by 2.5 inch cherry, a limb. You can use any wood you like. You could use a bit of fence post, providing it hasn't been treated. So it's a good it's a good little project to do to get comfortable with the tools. We'll just be using a 3/8 spindle gouge, a spindle roughing gouge, and a parting tool to part it off at the end, and a drill bit to make a hole down the centre of the vase. So without further ado, let's get making this bud vase. So I've got this piece of cherry between centres. I'm going to use the spindle roughing gouge to get it to round, decide which way I want it, the top and the bottom, because of the grain. Put a tenon on whichever side becomes the bottom. Then I shall drill a hole for the weed stem to go in, and then work around that and do the shape that I desire. Any shape you want to do can be done. Then sand and finish, and then part it off. I've got the lathe at about 2000 RPM, but you can have it whatever speed you feel comfortable with. Spindle roughing gouge, and let's just get the bark off and create a cylinder. Stop and have a look. Still a bit of bark there. I quite like that, but it's a little soft, so let's just take it off and just have it completely down to the wood. Just a little bit left for the feel of it. A little bit there. I'll sit apart a little bit here. Yeah, I think I'll put the tenon on this end here. Okay, now the tenon is cut, make sure that the base of the tenon doesn't come into contact with the base of the jaws at the back, and there's a nice square shoulder for the front of the jaws to register against. Bring up the tailstock just to centre it. No great pressure, just a little bit of pressure, and then tighten up the jaws. Now on the C jaws from Axminster, the internal on this is straight with a lip at the end, and that lip bites down just behind the shoulder of the piece and gets a nice firm grip, and that should then be nice and running smoothly. We just check that. Perfect. And then the next thing now is I'll put the Jacob's chuck into the quill of the tailstock and draw out the depth hole. Now Murphy's Law came into play. I forgot to press record. I mean, I've only been making videos since 2012. Anyway, all I did was advance the drill bit in increments. I had the wood spinning at around 800 RPM. And make sure when you're advancing that you pull it out on regular basis so that the swarf, clear that off and work your way down to the depth, and that's worked down to the mark, which gives me a 4-inch hole. And I've also put on the base here one line, that's the depth hole, and then this line here indicates where I'm going to be parting off, a nice distance away from the chuck. And if, as I say, you're just starting out, you don't want to be too close to the chuck, so it gives you plenty of room to work to get a nice undercut and also a nice curve that goes underneath for the base of the vase. Another thing you can do is just bring up the tailstock into the hole there, and all that gives is a little bit of extra support for you. And I always say, if you can get more support, utilize it, so you can do all your shaping and you're basically turning between centers again. The other thing is that I've got my calipers here just over the diameter of the hole, 2 or 3 mil, so that I know that when I do the neck part here, I don't go too far and meet the hole. So I'm using a 1/2-inch spindle gouge. You could use a 3/8 bowl gouge if you wish, and just basically going to do some rough shaping, get rid of material, and let's see what transpires. Now I'm just going to face off the top of the vase here, and I want the direction of my flute to go in the direction I'm going at 90 degrees, and just to trim that off. And go in a bit. I'll just round that over a little bit. I can do a pull cut here with the left wing. Just round that over. Take a look. Yeah, that's rather nice. That'll sand out nicely, and you've got a nice curve there. Now we just want to clean up that edge a bit and just refine the curve. Just a little bit of a finesse on the curve there. Very light cuts. Just a little bit there. I think that's good enough. I quite like the shape. So what I'll do now is sand him up and put a finish on it. Now I'm at a stage now, I've sanded the piece to 240. I've applied 1 coat of Hampshire Sheen pre-thinned sanding sealer, Then I'm going to apply True Grit abrasive paste, and the reason for that is what this does is take your sanding, if you like, your abrasive, up to around 1000 grit without all the fine dust. Not essential, but it's a nice way of doing, especially a spindle like this, where you haven't got the fine dust going into the atmosphere. And then I'll finish off with Hampshire Sheen High Gloss. You don't have to do that. You could sand with abrasive up to your desired fineness, and then you could actually just apply the sanding sealer and then the finish of your choice. But this is the method I like to use. Now that's done its magic, I shall apply Hampshire Sheen High Gloss for the final finish. And there we have it, finished apart from parting off, which I'll do now. And there is it finished. The weed pot or bud vase stands at 4 inches tall by 2 inches wide at its widest point. A nice simple project, simple lines, no difficult design involved, ideal for beginners and the newer turner. Well, thank you very much indeed for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers now.